Hello guys, it's Chumma. Here doing another Bottleman discussion, this time on caps. So now Bottleman's done, I wanted to do a discussion on caps, just every single one of them, and just what I think of them, how good they are. Throughout this video, I will be effectively forming a ranking, but we won't be going in order of said ranking because I want to explain certain caps at certain times. It should make sense as we go on, but yeah. First up, let's just go ahead and start off with the kind of standard caps. And there are technically two types of these caps. After that, there's also kind of, I guess, 5 other caps, 2 kind of cap, I guess, attachments, and then 1 sort of special cap. But anyway, for the normal one, the most normal one, it's this cap. This is just a regular cap made in Vietnam, which is important. There's a big difference between the Chinese molds and the Vietnamese molds. To my knowledge, most of these other caps are just Chinese molds, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. So why is a Vietnamese cap special? Well, basically, the Chinese factory, for whatever reason, kind of the grooves on the sides of the cap here are made to be, well, there's actually less of them, but means they're not as condensed, and they're also a little bit larger, like the ridges, so they're kind of crunchier to shoot, which I think makes some worse, and you don't want that. So these caps are kind of the best overall because of that. However, do some of the gimmicks make the other ones worth it? That's what we'll talk about, but this is just a very good standard cap. However, there's also the Chinese caps, which I've used the laser cap here as a demonstration. Laser caps, they glow in the dark, they're not any different, so I'm just counting them as the sort of other variant of normal caps. I think it just makes more sense to do that, but yeah. The Chinese factory caps, the ridges are much larger, as you can see, compared to these. A little bit harder to see on camera, I guess, but yeah, they are different, if you can tell. But yeah, this, you guys see underneath maybe a little bit Vietnam and China. Which, yeah, there's that difference. Harder to see on this one, but yeah. These caps are way crunchier to shoot, it just makes them worse overall. It doesn't add any real power either, it's slower to shoot, they're just worse. I don't know what else to say about it, so yeah. So the Vietnamese caps are far better than these. Don't use these unless if you really have to and you don't have anything else. I'd much prefer these Vietnamese caps. The Chinese caps are just not quite it. And yeah, we will sort of again make a ranking of sorts as we go. I'll just place these here for now. Moving on to the next cap, kind of the next real interesting cap we've gotten, which is the speed cap. Now, the speed cap, it's an interesting one, because you have these 3 cutouts here, and technically these should be faster, which is good, but the problem, again, the ridges. These are Chinese made, so it has that same crunchy problem. Speed caps could have been better, they're a little bit lighter, and technically they can move a little bit faster, a bit more aerodynamic. So I would put them above the standard Chinese caps, if nothing else. But even if they have a little bit of an advantage, they're not better than just a standard solid cap with proper grooves. After that, we have the metal cap. These are interesting. They're a decent bit heavier because, I mean, they have metal. So that's nice. And while they are Chinese made, they actually have better ridges. The ridges aren't quite as good as the Vietnamese cap, but they're actually fairly close. That said, this can use a cap weight, this can't, so you can't make a super heavy cap. And the cap weight, well, a normal cap with a cap weight is very similar in weight to the metal cap. But with this, you get better ridges and also another bonus, which we'll get to later when we talk about the cap weight. So this thing is just kind of there. It's fairly close. Again, the ridges aren't bad here, but you just get more out of a normal cap with a cap weight than this. It's the best of kind of the caps I would say to probably not use, but I still would say to not use it again, unless if you have to. After that, we get to kind of the God Cap stuff. We'll cover the 3 regular caps from God Cap first, the first of which being the Light Cap. This cap is absolutely abysmal. So basically, with this cap, it's a ring. Meaning that when you press in, it can flex in a little easier because there's no, top part, which can help to, again, reduce or I guess increases tension rather. This one, it just flexes in. Not like really easy, it's harder plastic, but when you're shooting between the hold parts, I mean, yeah, it can flex in more. Which lowers tension on the cap, which isn't great for anything other than speed, but with how bad these ridges are, and I feel like they're actually especially bad on the light cap, you're not getting any actual speed here. It's crunchy. You're better off just firing one of the typical Vietnamese-made caps, and in that case, not only is it like the same speed, but it's also just more powerful, and I'd just say better overall. This is the worst cap we've gone over so far. It's really bad. It's not actually the worst cap overall, but it's it makes a run for being the worst. Not great, we'll say that much. It's a pretty bad cap. Moving on, we have the vertical cap. The vertical cap is actually one of the best caps. It is Chinese made, however, it has a special function. It's sort of like a wheel. So when you fire from a horizontal core, it stays straight. Is there a little bit of extra crunch and tension? Yes. But the gimmick here actually does work. It does shoot straight. I can put it on its side, it stands up even. So with that, I'd argue it's actually a pretty good cap, even with some issues. Again, even if the ridges aren't as good, if you have a good gimmick, you can look past that, and here I think you can. I would still prefer these, and also, I mean, these are only for horizontal cores anyway. You would not want to shoot this in a vertical cores, I mean. You would not want to use this in a horizontal core. I hope I haven't been saying horizontal the whole time. I really hope I haven't. But yeah. You don't want to use it there. You only want these in vertical cores. And because of that, this cap is still preferable. Because you could still use these caps in, vertical cores if needed. It's just, I would say these are a bit better. Well, a decent bit better. So, yeah, it's still not quite as good because it's not as versatile. But it does actually have a genuinely good use. And the last sort of normal cap you have is the curve cap. Now, the curve cap is interesting. There's this rubber ridge here, it sticks out a little bit extra. You never want to use this in a horizontal shooter. You just don't. A horizontal core, like, you don't want to. Trust me, it will not go well at all. It's bad. You only want to use these in vertical cores, like the vertical cap. However, this cap is the worst cap ever. So, if you can't tell, the size of this cap, it's actually a little bit smaller. The rubber part kind of adds a little bit, but the main part of the cap's a little bit smaller. It's not all the time, but there's a decent chance that when you shoot, this cap, it just falls out of the core. It doesn't catch properly on the hold parts, and it just kind of falls out of the front. It has like 0 power on it. That's a big issue, but even if it doesn't happen, let's just say it shoots properly. I'd say there's like an 80% chance it shoots normally. Then what? Okay, it drifts. The drift is inconsistent. Sometimes it drifts a little bit, just veers off course, just making it kind of more annoying because you're just slightly off center. Other times it really catches and actually drifts properly. This is a problem either way. Well, first up, it's just inconsistent. That's not good. But also, if it drifts slightly, why would you ever want to use this? It's almost just like shooting a regular cap, since, typical caps in vertical cores just kind of drift a little bit. It's not much different. But if you drift a lot, I guess there's trick shots, but why would you really want to use it, though? Like, is it that good for trick shots? I guess if you want a drifting cap for that. But it's also inconsistent, so you're probably not going to hit the target you're trying to drift towards anyway. Nothing about this cap works well. That's why I believe it's the worst cap that we've gotten. And, well, probably ever will get. Okay, moving on to the kind of cap attachments, if you will. First up, the big cap ring. You can actually just shoot these big cap rings normally. Well, through the big cap core or the big cap launcher. The launcher is, of course, an attachment that you got from Dragger G. Big cap core is from Cola OG, also the recolor from Dragger G Big Rush version. So yeah, you can shoot these big cap rings. You could also put caps inside of it. I guess you can kind of put the vertical cap in, but like, why would you? Probably just put like these other caps in, like anything here, probably this one. And yeah. So You do that if you want. Put a cap inside. Adds weight to it. These caps are interesting. Just like this, it's not like crazy heavy, so it shoots decently well. But these caps are almost like bowling balls. It's just a giant object heading towards whatever you're shooting at. And it actually works fairly well. This is a cap I can actually recommend using to some degree. Is it better than these two caps? No. It's still a niche cap, like the vertical cap, and this can, again, only be tied to one core or one attachment. Here's the thing, though. Never use the attachment if you have the core. The core, you get 3 shots out of it. It's just better. The attachment is clunky, and I don't like it. It's not good. It's also a front loader, which is worse. So, that's the way to go. But the problem with that is then you're locked into these caps. With a vertical core, if you're using the vertical caps, if you run out of those caps, you could start switching to anything else. With big caps, you can't do that. So you're much more limited if you do choose to use these caps, which is unfortunate. But because it's just a big, giant cap, and it shoots decently well, and you can also kind of customize the weight by adding, caps in, or even adding a cap weight into said caps. There's a lot of versatility there. It's just a big cap, again, that can just hit many targets just in one shot. Even if these caps are just better and more versatile, there's a place for these, and I think vertical caps are still better overall, but there's a place for this type of cap. Moving on to the next attachment, cap weights. These go inside of caps. They can be put inside either the mold, obviously, of the regular cap. You put them in the speed caps, and light caps as well. It cannot go into metal caps. There's these little bumps preventing you from doing so. Vertical caps and curved caps are just closed off, so yeah. Just put it inside like this. If I could screw it in properly. There we go. And now it's in. You could, again, like I said, you could also put this whole combo into a big cap ring. So with this, your cap is now actually heavy. Like, you wouldn't think this plastic piece would add a lot of weight. It does. It makes it pretty comparable to a metal cap. I think actually heavier than a metal cap as well. So that's nice. So now you have a heavier cap, and again, with the Vietnamese mold, it just shoots very well. But also there's an added bonus that the metal cap does not have, and that is having the extra plastic piece inside sort of can help to increase tension a little bit. Because this sort of backs into the wall of the cap here, it's harder to flex in. You also have these plastic parts that kind of further prevent it from flexing in. So you can actually get better power shots because it can't flex in as easy. And with that, not only do you have a much heavier cap, but you also just have I guess just a more powerful cap with the extra tension, and it actually does matter here, which is nice. So yeah, this cap weight, I would say, I'm going to put it here. So kind of a cap with a cap weight. There's definitely times when you want this to be inside of your cap, but you don't have to have it. But also with speed types, you might not want to use it. You can kind of make a speed power hybrid if you want to. You could have a speed type roller hold parts, and you're shooting heavier caps. The extra tension doesn't matter as much with the rollers, but whatever. But you almost make like a hybrid. That's cool, but you might not want to do that if you're trying to fire quickly. So with that, I'd still just say the regular caps are more versatile and a bit better, but the cap weights should be at least considered in the argument. So there you go. And lastly, kind of the one oddball cap here. Small caps, okay? These caps are tiny. Unlike every other cap here, even if you need like a special core like the big caps, these cannot be used in any core. They're only used from attachments. From Kokuryu OG's attachment or Cola OG's attachment. Although Cola OG is not worth it, only a single shot. Kokuryu's has control mode and speed mode. Control mode's one shot. Why would you do that? Even if it's vertical. Just choose the speed mode. You get like a 3 cap capacity for these, which actually makes it somewhat worthwhile. And you can use that either in Cola OG's arm parts or Kokuryu OG's regular arm parts, which they're fine enough arms to use. So if you do feel like using those arms, which again, you can, they're fine, either one. I'd actually say Cola OGs are probably better. They're just big grips that you could use. It's nice. While they are a little bit awkward to use, if you have a 3-shot capacity with these, it's just a decent backup to have. And despite their size, they're actually not bad. They can hit stuff and knock them over. It's not the best thing ever, but if you have 3 shots, it's sort of a backup. Why not at that point, So I would say it's probably the worst of the usable caps. But it is a usable cap because, again, it's more of an attachment thing. So you can just have it or not have it. So obviously having it isn't a bad thing. Even if you don't use them, having them in store there, it's not bad. So there you go. And with that, I've sort of made my cap tier list / ranking, whatever you want to call it, as we've gone through this video. The top row here, worst to best. These are the ones I would say to just kind of avoid. Again, these are inconsistent and just horrible in general. These don't make sense. These, the Chinese mold of regular caps are just worse than the Vietnamese ones. Speed caps have a little bit more going for them. They're a little bit specialized, but not like by a lot, so they're just kind of slightly better than the Chinese mold, like the regular ones. Metal caps, again, they have a bit more going for them, but I feel like they're just worse than the Vietnamese caps with weights inside. It's not much of a reason to use them. And then, of course, the bottom 5 here, which these are the caps that are actually worth using. Again, small caps, decent backup. Big caps, they're heavily committal, but like at the same time, not a bad idea if you really want to. Vertical caps for vertical cores if you feel like it, and you're using one. Good to at least use a few of these, but you can have other caps as backups. Cap weights, solid choices for power types, and anything else, maybe at least consider them. And then, yeah, the standard, regular Vietnamese made cap is the way to go. Just consider whether or not to use a weight, I guess. That's like the main thing, but yeah. That's it. That's the list. There you go. That's how I feel about each cap. Hopefully it gave some insight, because I've been wanting to talk about caps for a while, because I feel like it's something that kind of gets lost, I feel. I've talked about each cap when they come out, but I feel like I haven't gone as in-depth with them, even in like my ranking videos, so I just wanted to sit down, make a nice video about each of the caps, how I feel about them, and just how I feel about them just as a whole, where I'd rank them. And I feel like I've done that here, at least to a decent extent. Let me know if you have any other opinions, if there's something I missed. Is one of these caps like secretly way better? Did I overrate any caps? Or if you have any other comments, just let me know. So that's the list. Those are my thoughts on every cap. So yeah, thanks for watching, and bye-bye.